Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for the meditation on 64 qualities of Lord Krishna, 64 transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna. We'll start with prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Nilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we have discussed yesterday the first set of 16 qualities of Krishna which may be possessed by the tiny living entities like us, but in minute quantity. But Krishna's possession of these qualities are in unlimited quantity. So the first one, we will just brush through all the 16 qualities quickly. Suramya Angaha. He has beautiful bodily features. Second one, Sarva Sat Lakshana. His body is marked with all auspicious characteristics. Third one, Ruchira. He is extremely pleasing for the eyes. Yesterday we had mentioned Ruchira for fourth effulgent. It is Tejasa. Tejasa is effulgent. His bodily effulgence, his personality is so effulgent that his effulgence is called as Brahmajyoti. It is sometimes compared to a fire, sometimes compared to sun, and his bodily luster is so effulgent. Baliyan, fifth one, is very strong. He subdued many demons. 6. Vayasa Anvitaha. He always looks like he is a 16-year-old boy. On the Earth planet, even he had passed 125 years, he was always looking like a 16-year-old boy, and he had grandsons and great-grandsons. So that's why he is called as Vayasa Anvitaha, ever youthful. Vividadbhuta Bhasavit. He is a wonderful linguist. 8th one, Satyavakyaha. He is truthful. He doesn't break his promise. 9th, Priyam Vadaha. He talks pleasingly. He speaks very pleasingly. It pleases our heart, captures our heart. 10. Vavadukaha. He is fluent. He is so fluent in all languages. He can communicate with anybody. 11th, Supandityaha. He is the most highly learned personality. He knows everything. Buddhiman, and is most intelligent, highly intelligent. 13th, Pratibhanvitaha. He is a genius. He has so much pratibha, he has so much talent. Vidagdaha. He is artistic. 15th, Chaturaha. He is extremely clever. Also, we call he is extremely cunning. 16. Dakshaha. He is expert in everything. He is so expert. He has created this material world and put all of us here and given us this opportunity to enjoy the material world. You see how much expert he is. He is Kritagnaha. He is grateful. From this slide, we are going to discuss and elaborate these qualities 17 to 34. Anyone who remembers the service rendered by somebody else towards me, I am very grateful to them. So that consciousness of Krishna, where his devotees' beneficent activities are never forgotten, and all the services of the living entities rendered towards him, he always remembers and he is so grateful. In Mahabharata, Krishna says, when I was away from Draupadi, she cried with the words, "Hey Govinda, just this call for me has put me in her debt, and that indebtedness is gradually increasing my heart." This statement by Krishna gives evidence of how one can just please the Supreme Lord by simply addressing him, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda." He is pleased. The Maha Mantra, what we chant every day, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is also addressing the Supreme Lord and his energy. So to anyone who is constantly engaged in addressing the Lord and his energy, the Lord, you can imagine how much he will be obliged, how much he would be grateful. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. It is very clearly stated that anyone who addresses the Lord, just call him Krishna, he immediately attracts the attention of the Lord, who always remains obliged to that devotee. Another instance of Krishna's feeling of obligation is stated in connection with his dealings with Jambavan. When Lord was present as Lord Ramachandra, Jambavan, the great king of the monkeys, rendered very faithful service to the Lord. When the Lord again appeared as Lord Krishna, he married Jambavan's daughter and paid him all the respect that is usually given to superiors. Any honest person is obliged to his friend if some service has been rendered unto him. Right? So since Krishna is the supreme honest personality, how can he forget an obligation to his servitor? So he is so grateful and always Kritagnaha to his devotees. Next quality, 18th, Sudhrida Vrataha. Dhrida Vrataha is also mentioned in Sanskrit. Sudhrida Vrataha means he is completely determined. Dhrida Vrataha itself is called determined, just like Bhishma Dev was Dhrida Vrataha in his Brahmacharya, celibacy. Vow of celibacy. Lord is Sudhrida Vrataha. Any person who observes regulative principles and fulfills his promises by practical activity. Suppose I promise something, I have to be able to follow it. That is called as determination. As far as Lord's determination is concerned, there is an example in his dealings with the devotees in Harivamsha. This is in connection with Lord's fighting with the king of heaven, Indra, who was forcibly deprived of the Parijata flower. Lord was deprived of Parijata flower Parijata, as we all know, is a kind of lotus flower grown only on the heavenly planets. Once Satyabhama, one of the important queens of Krishna, when Krishna and Satyabhama reached heavenly planets, she was attracted to that Parijata lotus flower, and Lord Krishna, as a honest husband, he promised to deliver it. But Indra refused to part with his Parijata flower. Hence, there was a great fight with Krishna and the Pandavas on one side and all of the demigods on the other. Ultimately, Krishna defeated all of them and took away the Parijata flower, and he presented to his beloved queen, Satyabhama. So, in regard to that incidents, Krishna told Narada Muni, "My dear great sage of all the demigods, now you can declare to the devotees in general and to the non-devotees in particular that in this matter of taking the Parijata flower, all the demigods, the Gandharvas, the Nagas, the demon Rakshasas, the Yakshas, the Pannagas, they all tried to defeat me, but none could make me break my promise to my queen." So he was so Dhritavrataha in fulfilling the promise to his wife. There's another promise by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, which explains that Name Bhakta Pranashyati, my devotee will never be vanquished. So a sincere devotee who is always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the devotee should know for certain 100%, there is no 0.001% also lacking, 100% that Lord will protect me on all circumstances. He will never break his promise. So that's why he is asking Arjuna to declare. So Krishna showed how he fulfills his promise by delivering the Parijata flower to Satyabhama Devi. He also saved Draupadi from being insulted. He also saved Arjuna by freeing him from the attacks of all the enemies. So promise of Krishna for his devotees that they will never be vanquished has also been previously admitted by Indradeva when he was defeated in the Govardhana Lila. So how Krishna protected all the inhabitants of Vrindavana. They were just dependent on Krishna. They stopped Indra Yagna because Krishna asked all of them. And now when Indra started retaliating against the inhabitants of Vrindavan due to the stoppage of the Indra Yagna, they didn't have any other option to surrender to Krishna, and Krishna protected all of them. So after the incident was over of lifting Govardhana hill, Indra surrendered to Lord Krishna, and he offered many prayers in which he admits, by lifting your Govardhana hill and protecting the citizens of Vrindavana, you have kept your promise that your devotees are never to be vanquished. So 19th, Desha Kala Supatra Jnaha. Desha Kala Patra means time, place means Desha, Kala means time, Patra means circumstances. So he is expert in dealing with different circumstances, different places, and different times. He's expert in dealing with all types of people according to time, place, and circumstances and paraphernalia. So how can he take advantage of a particular time? Now he takes the advantage of Kali Yuga, and he has come himself as Namaprabhu. And he takes advantage of a particular circumstance and a person, and while he was talking to Uddhava about his rasa dance with the gopis, he expressed that how he takes advantages of different places, time, and circumstances, and benefits all the people, including non-devotees, from his activities. So he says, the most opportune time is the full moon night in autumn, like tonight, he said to Uddhava. He said the best place within the universe. He's talking about the best time, place, circumstances. Let us see. The best time, the most opportune moment is the full moon night in autumn. He says the best place within the universe is Vrindavana. All of us should visit Vrindavan. And the most beautiful girls are the gopis. So my dear friend Uddhava, I think I should now take advantage of all these circumstances and engage myself in the rasa dance. So this is Deshakala Supatrajnaha. 20th, Shastra Chakshuhu. Shastra means authoritative scriptures, Vedas, and anything related to the Vedas, they are called authoritative scriptures. Even the original Bible and Quran can be called as authoritative scriptures, unedited one. Shastra Chakshuhu means one who sees through the Shastras, one who acts through the Shastras, one who walks through the Shastras. So, whole life is guided by Shastra. So, a person who exactly, according to the tenets of the scriptures, acts is called Shastra Chakshuhu. Shastra Chakshuhu means one who sees through the eyes of the authorized scriptures. Any man of knowledge and experience is recommended to see everything through these books, not through our own intelligence, not through our mental speculation, not through our mental concoction. The reason is inherently what do we know? We actually are not so intelligent. We have limited knowledge, and anytime we may forget what we know. So in that way, we always should take guidance of Shastra. Anything what we do should be Shastra Pramana. So that's why it is important for us. For example, with our naked eyes, we can perceive the sun globe simply as some glaring substance. If we have not read about sun planet from the books, we may think that it is just some glary substance. But when we see through authorized books of science and other literature, we can understand it is a Surya Graha, it is a planet. We can understand how much greater the sun globe is than this earth, and how much powerful it is illuminating the whole universe. So just by seeing through naked eyes, it's not actually seeing. Real seeing is seeing through the authorized books or authorized teachers is called seeing. So although Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can see all that is past, present and future, and he can teach the people in general. And he always used to refer to the scriptures. Even when Krishna speaks, when he was present, he is always referring to the scriptures. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, although Krishna was speaking as the supreme authority, he mentioned Vedanta Sutra as the highest authority. So he is expert in authoritative scriptures. And from the authoritative scriptures, Krishna is to be known. He is the source of all knowledge. 21. Shuchihi. Shuchi means pure. There are two kinds of supreme purity when we talk about Krishna. When one type is possessed, one is able to deliver a sinful person. When the other type of purity is possessed, one does not do anything which is impure. We can see in our practical life how Srila Prabhupada is supremely pure, empowered by the Lord. So he is delivering all the sinful people like us. At the same time, Prabhupada does not do anything which is impure. And that is the quality of Krishna. A person who possesses either of these qualities is called supremely pure. And Krishna is both supremely pure. He can deliver all sinful conditioned souls. At the same time, he never does anything by which he can be contaminated. So it is the example of sun is again given. Sun is supremely pure in our vision. It can purify any impure substance, just like there is urine. So sun can evaporate and purify even the most filthy substance. So if one simply chants the holy name of Krishna, this holy name will rise within one's hearts like the powerful sun and will dissipate all the darkness of ignorance. In this connection, Vidura, while he was trying to detach his elder brother Dhritarashtra, while Dhritarashtra and his wife was very attached to the kingdom, even after Pandavas won the battle, they were staying in under the shelter of the Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Vidura, to enlighten them, he comes and he tries to detach them. So Vidura advised Dhritarashtra to always think of Krishna, give up this attachment and leave the house, both husband and wife, so that their volumes of contaminations due to sinful activities will be washed off immediately. So these are the qualities of Krishna and hence displayed by the pure devotees. Vashi means self-controlled, one who can control his senses. He is also called as Goswami. Fully, completely, Krishna always, he is self-controlled. Nobody can control him. In this connection, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, all the 16,000 wives of Krishna were so exquisitely beautiful that their smiling and shyness were able to captivate the minds of great demigods like Lord Shiva. But still, they could not even agitate the mind of Krishna in spite of their attractive feminine behavior. So every one of the thousands of wives of Krishna was thinking that Krishna was captivated by her feminine beauty alone. But this was not the case. Krishna, hence he is called, is the supreme controller of the senses and he is supremely self-controlled, and that is why he is addressed in Bhagavad Gita as Hrishikesha, the master of the senses. All our senses are also controlled by Krishna, and when we engage our senses in his service, we also become self-controlled. 23rd quality, Sthiraha, steadfast. A person who continues to work until his desired goal is achieved is called steadfast. So Krishna, he achieves his goal. He will not leave it in interim state or in the midway. There was a fight between Krishna and King Jambavan, and Krishna was to take the valuable Syamantaka jewel from the king. The king tried to hide himself in the forest, but Krishna was not getting discouraged. So finally, Krishna, after great fight, he got the jewel by seeking out with great steadfastness and subduing Jambavan. So he's not going to leave until his mission is completed. So he has his mission now, Hare Krishna mission. He is not going to leave. He is not going to leave it incomplete until his goal is achieved. So taking this advantage, we should all become very serious, because Krishna is steadfast. Just be part of the mission. Dantaha, 24th quality, forbearing. A person who tolerates all kinds of troubles, even though such troubles appear to be sometimes unbearable, intolerable, is called forbearing. Krishna is tolerating all the challenges which all the jivas in the material world are posing day by day. What else he need to tolerate more? When Krishna was residing at the place of his spiritual master under Sandipani Muni, he did not mind taking all troubles in rendering service to his guru, although his body was so soft and delicate. Generally, it is the duty of the disciple to execute all services unto the spiritual master despite all kinds of difficulties. So the disciple living at the residence of the spiritual master has to go begging from door to door and bring everything back to the spiritual master and offer to the spiritual master. And when such foodstuffs are brought back to the Gurukula, to the spiritual master, when the prasadam is being served, the spiritual master is supposed to call each and every disciple to come and have prasadam. By chance, if the spiritual master forgets to call the disciple to partake of prasadam, it is stated in scriptures that student should fast that day rather than accepting food on his own initiative. So such is the austerity which was existing in Gurukulas, and with such strictures things were followed, so strict. Sometimes also Krishna went to the forest to collect dry wood for fuel, taking all those he used to tolerate all the pain which he used to experience while he used to go to the forest with his soft lotus feet. 25th, Kshama Shilaha, forgiving. A person who can tolerate all the kinds of offenses from an opposite party is known to be forgiving. So this forgiving nature is supremely available in Krishna. It is said in the Vedic literatures in Srimad Bhagavatam that one has to be very tolerant, one has to be very merciful. Karunikaha. So he is having this quality of Kshama Shilaha Karunikaha. So Lord Krishna's forgiving quality is described in the Shishupala Vadha, killing Shishupala, in connection with his forbidding the killing of Shishupala. So King Shishupala was the monarch of the Chedi kingdom, and although Shishupala happened to be the cousin of Krishna, he was always envious of Krishna. Whenever they would meet, Shishupala would try to insult Krishna and call him ill names as much as possible. In the arena of Rajasuya sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthira, after the Kurukshetra war ended, in the arena of Rajasuya sacrifice of Maharaj Yudhishthira, when Shishupala began to call ill names of Lord Krishna, Krishna did not care and he remained silent. Some of the people in the arena were prepared to kill Shishupala, but Krishna restricted them. He was so forgiving. It is said that when there is a thundering sound in the clouds, the mighty lion immediately replies with his thundering roar. But the lion doesn't care when all the foolish jackals begin to make their less important sounds. So Sri Yamunacharya praises Krishna's power of forgiveness with the following statement. He says, "My dear Lord Ramachandra, you are so merciful to have excused the crow's clawing on the nipples of Janaki simply because of his bowing down before you." Another incident, once Indra, the king of heaven, assumed the form of a crow and attacked Sita Devi, Lord Ramachandra's wife, by striking her on the breast. So this was certainly an insult to the universal mother Sita Devi, and Lord Ramachandra was immediately preparing himself to kill the crow, who is Indra. But because later on the crow bowed down before the Lord excused the crow Indra's offense. So Yamunacharya further he says in his prayer that forgiving power of Lord Krishna is even greater than that of Lord Ramachandra, because Shishupala was always in the habit of insulting Krishna, not only in one lifetime but continuously throughout the 3 lives. Jaya Vijaya took 3 different lives. In all the lives, if you see the way the insult is made on Krishna, the insults are very, very grievous. So, but still Krishna was so kind. He gave salvation to Shishupala to merge into his effulgence, to merge into his Brahmajyoti. So we can understand that the Supreme Lord is so merciful to even inimical persons that he can award liberation. Gambhiraha, he is very grave. He does not behave loosely. He does not talk loosely. He does not behave loosely. He is very grave. A person who does not express his mind to everyone, or whose mental activity or mental stability and plan of action are very difficult to understand, is called grave. So Lord Krishna is very difficult to understand generally. After Lord Krishna had been offended by Lord Brahma, Brahma prayed to Lord to excuse him. But in spite of his offering nice prayers to Krishna, Brahma could not understand whether Krishna was really satisfied or dissatisfied. So in other words, Krishna was so grave standing in front of Brahma, he did not take the prayers of Brahma very seriously. Another instance of Krishna's gravity is found in connection with his love affairs with Srimati Radharani. Krishna always he was very silent about his love affairs with Radharani, and so much so that Baladev, his brother, and who is a constant companion, could not understand the transformations of Krishna on account of his gravity. What's really Krishna is enlivened or not, Balaramji, Baldevji was not able to understand. So such is the Gambhirata, the gravity of Krishna. Atma Rama, he is self-satisfied. A person who is satisfied in himself is called self-satisfied. He does not have any hankering. He will not get agitated even in the presence of a serious cause of agitation or distress or provocation is called self-satisfied. An example is that when Krishna exhibited his self-satisfaction, Arjuna and Bhima went to challenge Jarasandha, the formidable king of Magadha. Krishna gave all credit to Bhima for killing Jarasandha. Even though Krishna does everything, he gives credit to his devotees. From this we can understand Krishna never cares for all the so-called material fame, name, power, although no one can be more famous than Krishna. That is his quality. He is self-satisfied. He is not hankering for anything from the material world. Another example of his not being disturbed was when Shishupala, when he started calling ill names in the assembly of Rajasuya Yagna, all the others who are hearing those ill names, when somebody is offending or insulting or calling ill names, others who are also present, they are hearing that also will get disturbed, will get perturbed. So many sages, kings, brahmanas who are assembled in the sacrificial arena, they were also very disturbed and immediately want to satisfy Krishna by offering nice prayers. But all the kings and brahmanas could not see any sort of disturbance in Krishna's personality. So he was so self-satisfied. For him, whether it is insult or praise, it is one and the same. He is not going to get disturbed. 28th, Samaha, he possesses equilibrium. He is unaffected by attachment and envy. Only we who are in this material world, we have this duality. Sometimes we get attached to some possessions, and then so we may get sometimes envious towards other personalities. So who is unaffected by attachment or envy or repulsion is called, he possesses equilibrium. An example is given in Srimad Bhagavatam in connection with Krishna chastising Kaliya. When Kaliya was being severely punished by the lotus feet of the Lord, all the wives of Kaliya appeared before the Lord, and they prayed to the Lord as follows: My dear Lord Shri Krishna, you have descended to punish all kinds of demoniac living creatures. Our husband, this Kaliya, is a greatly sinful creature, and so your punishment for him is quite appropriate. We know that your punishment for your enemies and you are dealing with your sons are on an equal platform, or both are same. There is no difference. Both are transcendental. We know that it is in thinking of the future welfare of the condemned creature, this Kaliya, you have chastised him. So Kaliya's wives understood Krishna's chastisement and Krishna's embracing the other devotee. Both are on a transcendental platform. It is called, he possesses equilibrium. He does not do any partiality. He treats everyone equally. In another prayer, my dear Lord Krishna, best of all the Kuru dynasty, you are so impartial that even if your enemy is qualified, you will reward him, and if one of your sons is a culprit, you will chastise him. This is your business because you are the supreme author of all the universes. You have no partiality. If anyone finds partiality in your characteristics, he is surely mistaken. So devotees have analyzed that Krishna has all transcendental qualities. We cannot estimate Krishna by any sort of materialistic ideas. It has to be derived and realized from authorized Vedic literatures or Guru Sadhu Shastra. Understand Krishna's qualities from higher sources. 29th, Vadanyaya. We call Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. So this Vadanyaya means magnanimous, who is very charitably disposed. He is ready to give anything and everything to whomever approaches him in charity. So when Krishna was ruling over the Dwarka kingdom, he was so magnanimous and charitably disposed. There was no limit to his charity. In fact, so great was his charity in Dwarka that even the spiritual kingdom, with all of its opulence of Chintamani, the Chintamani stones are mentioned. They are touchstones. In spiritual kingdom, they are not diamonds. They are touchstones. And there are desire trees. There are Surabhi cows. The opulence of even the spiritual kingdom was surpassed in Dwarka. So in spiritual kingdom of Lord Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan, where there are Surabhi cows, they give unlimited quantities of milk. There is no shortage. There are desire trees from which anyone can take all kinds of fruits. You ask mango, it will give you mango. You ask pineapple, it will give you pineapple. So if we had desire tree, we could have asked all the fruits, so we could have used in Abhishekam. So there are desire trees from which anyone can take any kinds of fruits, as much quantity as one desires. And the land is made of touchstone, which when touched to iron will transform into gold. In other words, although in the spiritual kingdom, in the abode of Lord Krishna, everything is so wonderfully opulent, still when Krishna was in Dwarka, his charity exceeded the opulences of Goloka Vrindavana. So where Krishna is present, the limitless opulence of Goloka Vrindavana is automatically present. So when Krishna was in Dwarka, he was so magnanimous. So we can understand his magnanimity. And we also have to always have him in our heart, in our house, wherever we are. So there will be magnanimity of Krishna displayed at every point of time. 30th, Dharmikaha, he is very religious. A person who practices the tenets of religion as it is enjoined in the Shastras, and who also teaches others the same principles, is called religious. Pathan. This is a Brahmana's quality. He learns everything from the Shastras and he teaches. So Krishna is the leader of all the Brahmanas. So simply professing a kind of a faith is not any sign of religiousness. I believe something, I have faith in something, that is not called religion. Religion means one must act according to religious principles, and by the person's personal example he should teach others. Achara and prachara. Such a person is understood to be religious. So nobody can manufacture one's so-called religion. When Krishna was present on the earth planet, there was no irreligious activities, no religion. In this connection, Narad Muni once addressed Krishna in a joking mood. My dear Lord of the cowherd boys, you are bulls. He is addressing bulls because bulls are the representation of religion. You are bulls while eating grass from the pasturing ground and moving on their four legs, have certainly eaten up all the grass of irreligion. In other words, he was mentioning, by the grace of Krishna, religious principles were so well cared for that hardly any irreligious activities were found during Krishna's presence. It is said that because Krishna was constantly performing various types of sacrifices and was inviting the demigods time and again from the higher planetary systems, the demigods were almost always absent from their concerts. Their concerts were always thinking, where are all these husband demigods? Therefore, the wives of the demigods, regretting the absence of their husbands, they started praying to the appearance of Lord Buddha, Krishna's ninth incarnation, who appears in the age of Kali. In other words, instead of being pleased that Lord Krishna had come, they began to pray for Lord Buddha, because Lord Buddha stopped the ritualistic ceremonies and sacrifices which were recommended in the Vedas in order to discourage people from animal killing, who used to resort to Vedic literatures and started slaughtering without any restriction. So the demigods' wives thought that if Lord Buddha appeared, all kinds of sacrifices would be stopped and their husbands would not be invited by such ceremonies and would not be separated from them. So that's what demigods' wives used to pray. Because Krishna was always calling the demigods, always used to have ritualistic ceremonies, and almost demigods' wives were bereft of their husband's association. So sometimes it is inquired, why don't the demigods from higher planetary systems come to this earth planet nowadays? Now none of us are able to see any demigods coming. The plain answer is that since Lord Buddha appeared and he began to deprecate the performance of sacrifice, in order to stop this animal killing on his planet, the process of offering sacrifices from that point has been stopped. It is fact, as soon as Buddha appeared, the sacrifices stopped and there were no qualified Brahmanas to even offer oblations in the sacrificial arena. There were no Brahmanas to chant Vedic hymns. So practically offering sacrifices got stopped, and that's how demigods are now not even caring to come here to our planet anymore. But now when we are performing Sankirtana Yagna, all the demigods are coming on the earth planet, and every time when there is Sankirtana happening, they are there, but we cannot see. 31st, Neta, he's heroic. He's the real hero, and all the movie heroes are just trying to imitate Lord Krishna's activities. If you scrutinizingly analyze all that what is depicted in the movies or in the outside world, who poses himself as a Neta or a hero or a leader, it is just imitating Lord Krishna's heroic activities in tiny limited quantity. So a person who is very enthusiastic in military activities, is expert in releasing different kinds of weapons, is called heroic. So Krishna was so heroic that everyone, all the gopis and his wife, they used to get mesmerized. Even all his devotees. Krishna's heroism in fighting, there is a statement. My dear killer of the enemy, just as the elephant while taking bath in the lake destroys all the lotus stems within the water by swinging its trunk, so simply by moving your arms, which are compared to the trunks of the elephants, you have killed so many lotus-like enemies. So regarding Krishna's expertise in releasing weapons, it is mentioned when Jarasandha and 13 divisions of soldiers attacked Krishna's army, they were unable to hurt even one soldier on the side of Krishna. He's so heroic, he didn't allow even one soldier to get even hurt, leave aside getting killed. This is because due to Krishna's expert military training. This is the unique skill in the history of military art. Nobody else knows this. So he is the real hero. 32nd, the last for today. Karunaha, compassionate. A person who is unable to bear another's distress is called compassionate. So Krishna's compassion for distressed persons, he exhibited that when he released all of the kings who were imprisoned by Magadendra. The kings who were imprisoned by Magadendra were put into dark cells, and when Krishna appeared there, the darkness of those cells immediately disappeared, just like sun has risen on the sky. In other words, although Magadendra was able to imprison so many kings, upon the appearance of Krishna, they were all released. Krishna released the kings out of his sincere compassion for those kings. Krishna's compassion is also exhibited in another incident when grandfather Bhishma, he was lying on the bed of arrows after the Kurukshetra war, and all the arrows were shot throughout his body. Bhishma had the power of Ichha Mrityu. Whenever he desires, he can die, and he was lying on the position just waiting for, anxiously waiting to see Krishna appearing there in front of him, and then he decides to leave the body by absorbing himself in the lotus face of Lord Krishna in front of him, and then leave his body. So seeing the pitiable condition of Bhishma, Krishna began speaking with tears in his eyes. Not only was Krishna shedding tears, but he also forgot himself in a compassionate mood while he was addressing Bhishma Dev. So Krishna is the reservoir of all good qualities, transcendental qualities. Just by meditating on these qualities, we will be able to purify our consciousness and manifest some of these qualities in some limited quantity, provided Krishna allows those qualities to be manifested. So we will one more point regarding this is that instead of offering obeisances to Krishna directly, devotees offer obeisances to his compassionate nature. So that is how devotees are able to recognize Krishna's compassionate nature. Because Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's very, very difficult to approach him personally. But the devotees, they take advantage of his compassionate nature, which is represented by Srimati Radharani. Always pray to Srimati Radharani for Krishna's compassion. So after Janmashtami, we'll have Radhashtami. We'll beg for the mercy of Srimati Radharani to take us to the shelter of Lord Krishna. So this is all for today. These are the qualities which we can meditate upon, and all of you please make no points and be ready for the quiz on Friday. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. We'll stop here today. Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.